Chancellor, members of the Academy, distinguished guests. I cannot tell you adequately how much this award means to me. I've not lived in the state of Illinois since September 1958, when 4 months past my 17th birthday, I went away to college. I have never, however, not once ever, thought of myself as other than a son of the prairies of Illinois, a son of the American middle border, to which it is always a delight to return. The introducer gave away my dark secret that I only write about politics and governance to support my baseball habit, which I acquired in Illinois, in Champaign, in Little League, playing for the Mittendorf Funeral Home Panthers. Our color was black. I also, in Jerry's presence here, I should say that I too was a basketball star of sorts. I played for the University of Illinois Education Department Laboratory High School, known as Uni High, or because of our athletic attainments, known as Puny Uni. My senior year, our record was 2 wins and 18 losses, and the school we beat twice consolidated that winter, probably from embarrassment. The remarkable thing about the state of Illinois is that it is the beating heart of the country. The Midwest begins on the western slope of the Alleghenies and stretches to the eastern slope of the Rockies, but the heart of the matter is the Mississippi Valley, and the beating heart of the Mississippi Valley is the great state of Illinois. People don't quite realize how exemplary and special the state is. The northern tip of Illinois is north of Cape Cod. The southern tip of Illinois is south of Richmond. So it unites the country east and west, north and south in a way that no other state does. And to grow up in central Illinois as I did, and I can think of no greater blessing, is to be marinated in the spirit and presence of Abraham Lincoln. According to local lore, the red Indiana sandstone courthouse on the Courthouse Square in Urbana, Illinois, in the Twin Cities, was where Lincoln was in 1854 when he learned that another son of Illinois, Stephen A. Douglas, had successfully passed the Kansas-Nebraska Act. It was Lincoln's recoil against the Kansas-Nebraska Act that ignited his career, the greatest career in my judgment in the history of world governance. The Kansas-Nebraska Act said, well, all right, on the fraught question of the expansion of slavery into the territories, we'll leave it up to the territories. We'll submit it to a vote. Popular sovereignty in the territories will settle the issue. Lincoln, in his implacable, canny, unwavering resistance to this doctrine, said no. Majority rule is all right for many things, but we do not submit fundamental human rights to votes of majorities. And from this, he took off into what was one of the greatest careers the world has ever seen. The career began in this town in a sense that this man whose oratory is still quoted made his first great and memorable speech in this town at the Young Men's Lyceum at age of 29 in 1838, when he worried that the passing of all the veterans and the memories of the Revolution and the cost it took to found this country meant that our national memory was being destroyed by, and this was the first great Lincoln phrase inserted into our civic vocabulary, was being destroyed by, he said, the silent artillery of time. Lincoln would have none of it. His career was to reconnect us with the founders. In 1859, on the eve of the Civil War, with disunion clouds lowering over the country, he addressed a crowd at the Wisconsin Agricultural Society, a precursor of the state fair. In this address, he told the story of an Oriental despot who summoned his wise men and gave them an assignment. He He said, I want you to go away and don't return until you have devised a proposition to be carved in stone, to be forever in view and forever true. Some weeks later, the wise men returned, and the proposition they had presented to the despot was, this too shall pass away. How consoling, Lincoln said, in times of grief, how chastening in times of pride. But it need not be true, said Lincoln. He said, if we cultivate the moral and intellectual world within us as prodigiously and assiduously as we cultivate the physical world around us, the United States and all that it stands for shall not pass away. And so it has been. And so it is the mission given to all of us by Abraham Lincoln is to make sure that the silent artillery of time does not allow any of the great fundamental principles to pass away. Lincoln gives us a timeless model of excellence, chastening in its excellence, but inspiring too. I can't speak for this long without a baseball story, so I will link it to that. In the early 1920s, there was the greatest right-handed hitter in the history of baseball, Rogers Hornsby, was at the plate. And there was a rookie pitcher on the mound who was quite understandably petrified. And he threw 3 pitches that he thought were strikes, and the umpire said, ball 1, ball 2, ball 3. The rookie got flustered and shouted into the umpire, said, umpire, those were strikes. The umpire took off his mask, looked out at the picture and said, young man, when you throw a strike, Mr. Hornsby will let you know. Hornsby had become the standard of excellence. It's an American aspiration for all of us. And there is no more vivid example of American excellence than Abraham Lincoln. And all of us who are privileged to be inducted in this ceremony into the company, as it were, of Abraham Lincoln are duly chastened and duly inspired. And again, I thank you so much for this. I'm the last of your laureate speeches for which you can sigh with relief. You're probably feeling a little bit the way Jeff Torborg did when he was managing the White Sox. He went out one day to take a pitcher out of the game, Jimmy Kern. And he got to the mound and Kern said, Skipper, I'm not tired. And Torborg said, Jimmy, we know you're not tired, but our outfielders are. So none of us will ever tire of being associated now forever with the beating heart of Illinois, which is the spirit of Abraham Lincoln. Again, I thank you very much.